on Johnny Wheeler Reacts. I'm Johnny Wheeler. Welcome back. Today we have part 2 of Americans Living Abroad. The first time you realize America really messed you up. For those of some of y'all have really enjoyed them, so I'm bringing you part 2. For those of y'all that are getting sick of it, don't worry. I've got other stuff coming. I've got other stuff lined up, including for those of y'all just joining my channel. Welcome, first of all, by the way. Secondly, you know, I'm going to do hopefully a better job with. A lot of y'all have commented on a video I did like last year, and that is the Festival of Speed. Um, I reaction to it. I'm aware that the audio was just bad. I found that out after editing, and by then it was too late. The damage was done, and hopefully I can do something about that with this year's when that comes out. And when that happens and I catch what was there, what was the highlights, if you will, hopefully that will be there. So I plan to do that and hopefully sort of redeem myself. We'll find out, and hopefully y'all will enjoy that one when that one comes around. That's just one of the many ones that I have planned. And it's not just, for those that are just coming, it's not just this type of stuff for like American Mess You Up Part 1, Part 2, 3, whatever. It's other things. It doesn't necessarily have to be UK. It's whatever y'all suggest. Or sometimes I find things kind of off the beaten path to kind of mix things up. So hopefully we can all have a good laugh, and get away from the drama for a while, because that's what this channel is about. Just forgetting about your troubles for a little bit. And, not to put anybody down, but some of the stuff they say is it's just funny. It is, and if it is, I'm gonna laugh. But let's get at this, and hopefully y'all enjoy it. Here we go.
Realize that America really messed you up.
It's not current, but when I was studying in the UK, one day I really needed to see a doctor. But I didn't know how to access care. I didn't know what my insurance situation was like, so I just went to work. And eventually I was in so much pain that I burst into tears, and my boss pulled me aside. And he was like, "What's up?" And I was like, "I really need to see a doctor, but I don't know how to access care here. I don't know if I can afford it." And he was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Go down the street to the hospital." And I argued with him, and he was like, "No, just trust me, just go to the hospital." So I went, and I was like clutching my like student ID in my hand, my passport, and I was like trying to remember how much I had in my bank account, like checking. And I got called back to the doctor. He was like, "Yep, this is what's wrong with you. Pick up your prescription on the way out." And I was like, "I'm sorry, do you know how much it's gonna be?" And he said, "I don't know, maybe 8 pounds." I was like, "I'm sorry, 8?" He was like, "Yeah, I don't think it's ever more than that." The receptionist kept laughing at me because I didn't feel comfortable leaving without paying somebody, and I kept asking and asking if I owed anybody any money.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize?
I am back for round 2 on this one. So I just moved to Italy with my boyfriend who is Italian. We're watching a movie the other day where somebody is running away and they get shot. And I'm like, you know what? That's their fault. They didn't run in a zigzag. That's like the first thing they teach you, to run in a zigzag if somebody's pointing a gun at you. He pauses the movie.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and he goes, "Who taught you that?" And I'm like, like teachers, adults, parents, like they teach you when you're young to run in a zigzag if somebody is pointing a gun at you. The sinking feeling I had when I realized that nobody ever had to teach him that when he was young, because that's not a problem here.
And currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Oh, I've got a couple. So I'm from Los Angeles and now I live in Austria. And basically when I first started working here, they were like, you get 25 days vacation, Fridays off early, and if you're sick, don't come into work. And I was just like, I was floored. Because in the US, you only get 10 days vacation and like 5 sick days, and you don't get Fridays off early. You better work your ass until it's 9 p.m. On top of all of that, all my friends here have like 2 masters, 3 PhDs, etc., 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 because education here is actually free. Amazing. What an amazing concept. In addition, I have yet to see a large homeless community out in the open here in Austria, because the government actually offers some social support. A lot of social support. In LA, you have villages, streets, blocks full of homeless people because our government doesn't care about us.
No.
And here, people like don't measure their worth off the car they drive.
What is one time that made you realize that America really messed you
She
up?
just straight
I'm
ran out of
from LA, I
time.
moved to Singapore. And before coming here, I asked all my friends if I should bring anything like, pepper spray just in case anything happens. And they were like, "No, that's like actually illegal. I don't think that they're allowed to have any kind of weapon. And
No,
I
they're
was like,
not.
what? We literally put them in our keychains as accessories. I was like, how do you defend yourself? They were like, from what? You don't have to. It's so safe. I was like, no way. So I Googled it, and no one is allowed to use greater force than necessary to defend themselves. What? The US can't ban guns, but Singapore can ban pepper sprays?
Abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up? I'll go.
When I had my first child, we were stationed overseas in Germany. And at that point, I'd been a nurse for about 5 years. And I had a C section. So, day 3, after I delivered, I was packing up my stuff and getting the baby ready to go home. And the German nurse walked in and looked at me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm packing to go home." And she said, "Nein, you're not going home. You just had major surgery. We have physical therapy coming to see you. And dinner is on its way up. And if you'd like, I can call down and have them bring up some beer. But you need to rest." And I thought, yeah, I did have major surgery. I do need to rest. And they kept me for another week until
There
I
you
was ready to
go.
go home and I could take care of everything on my own.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up? I'll go first.
I live in Warsaw, Poland now, but I always stay in touch with what's happening in the U.S. And I happened to hear about that Las Vegas shooting when someone opened fire on a bunch of concert goers. And it was very tragic news. But that day, I also went to the movies. So I was already in a kind of weird mental state. And when I left the movies, I got on the tram again in Warsaw, and I saw this guy kind of being sketchy and acting weird in the last seat. And I kept eyeing him the whole time, and he had his jacket open, and he was holding something inside. He was hiding it. And I thought, my first American thought was, it's a gun or a knife or some kind of weapon, and I need to move away as soon as possible. So I kept looking at him the whole ride, and then he takes it out, and it was a beer can. He was sipping it and hiding it during the tram ride. That's what happens in Poland. Not guns, not knives. And I started crying and laughing at the same time because that's when I realized, wow, that's messed up.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really...
So I can make like 200 of these, but I'll just talk about the first time I realized how fucked up the US is, which was in the first week that I got to Sweden, when my boyfriend's family told me that I need to make sure I get insured, and that I get insurance for everything I own, my laptop, my bike, my apartment, my whole body. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's so expensive. Like, I'm already super in debt with student loans, so no. But I asked out of curiosity, just like how much it was going to cost. $100 a year to insure everything I have. For reference, like the average American person spends $456 a month just on health insurance. Just for healthcare. That doesn't include cars or home insurance.
Just a little quick FYI. That's like close to like, and a little bit more. That's like rent for some places around here.
American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
So I live in Paris, and 2 months ago I got hit by a taxi, relatively hard. I fell down on the street. All these people came. They picked me up. They brought me over to a bench. Someone from a restaurant brought me a glass of water. Another woman gave me a handful of coins, and I was like, "I don't need your money. It's okay." And she was like, "Sweetheart, this is your money. It fell out of your pockets when you got hit by the taxi."
Oh my
And
goodness.
I was like, Sonic the Hedgehog vibes, great. The man who hits me goes to call the ambulance, and I said, "Stop. Do not call the ambulance. That will cost me $3,000 to $5,000 because that's what an ambulance costs in America." And he was like, "What are you talking about? An ambulance is €7. I was like, oh my God. Remind me to twist my ankle on the way home from the club, and they'll give me an IV so I won't be hungover the next day? Catch me at the hospital. This is lit.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really...
So my first year here in Paris, I was an au pair, and I got really sick during the winter. It was bronchitis, and I couldn't breathe. I was coughing a lot. I was trying to avoid going to the emergency room as much as possible because in the US it's very, very expensive. But there was one night where I really couldn't hold out any longer, so I drove to the emergency room. And when I was there, they gave me a nebulizer, and then they wanted to give me chest x-rays. And I was like, listen, can we please not do the chest x-rays? I'm fine, let's just go. And the doctor looked at me and she was like, why don't you want to do these? You have to do them, you could have damage. And I said, well, I don't have any money, I'm not going to be able to afford it. And she looked at me and she was like, it's covered with Social Security. So I was like, oh, okay. And then instead of having to book a whole another appointment and wait forever for the results, we walked down the hall, we took the chest x-rays, I had the results in 5 minutes. I paid €12 and then I was reimbursed 3 days later.
American currently living
Nice.
abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
So I started my new job in the Netherlands. This was 3 years ago, and I was going through the company policy the first week. And I got to the section about leave, and they have a holiday leave, like PTO, and then they had sick leave in 2 different areas. And I was reading about sick leave, and I turned to my coworker, and I was like, I don't understand. Like, it talks about like the requirements for sick leave and like doctor notes like after 3 days, but how many sick days do we get a year? And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, how many are there? It doesn't say. She's like, it's just if you're sick, you're out. I'm like, I don't understand. She's like, it's unlimited. It's just if you're sick, you take a sick day. She was confused. I was shocked. There's a moment I realized we're fucked up in America and how we deal with people being sick with work.
Absolutely.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really...
Yeah, so this one hit me pretty hard. It was one of the first dates I ever had in Germany with my boyfriend, and he wanted to take me on a nature walk. Well, it was a beautiful day, and we went on this beautiful trail, but it ended out leading up to somebody's field, like a farmer's field, and I absolutely wanted nothing to do with that. I said, nope, that's it, we're going home, I'm not doing that, and he kind of was persistent and saying, like, why? And I was like, are you crazy? They're gonna shoot us. I was pretty new to Germany, so I didn't really understand how things worked yet. But I did grow up in rural western New York, where if you trespass on somebody's property, their woods or their field, there's a good chance that you'd be shot and killed.
Yeah.
My next door neighbors would get blackout drunk and then start shooting off their back porch into the random wilderness. And he stopped me and said, nobody shoots trespassers here, why would they do that? Even if they're trespassing, like, that's so overdramatic. And it hit me how normalized that was for me growing up, that I could potentially die going for a walk.
American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Here's a fun one. So I'm teaching 3rd grade in Thailand, right? And it's sports day. Kids running around, screaming, having fun, as kids do.
Yeah.
And I hear a bang. Instantly, my heart drops into my stomach. My entire body tenses. My adrenaline starts pumping. And I'm looking around for the shooter. And then I realize I'm in Thailand. And people don't have guns. And they don't shoot children at their school. It was a balloon. A balloon popped. Fuck you, America.
American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
So I grew up in southern Indiana, and I moved to London, England. So I just moved to England, and I made a lot of new friends. So I go to a party, this was like 3 years ago, and let's say one of my friends he drank too much water. And all my friends were taking care of him, including myself, and all of a sudden one of them goes, hey, we gotta call an ambulance. And I was like, no, dude, like, do you know how much money that costs? Like, he just drank too much water, he's gonna be fine. And right when I said that, everyone looked at me and said, mate, what are you talking about? And I was like, dude, the ambulance is gonna cost like $3,000. And that was the moment I realized that England had free healthcare.
American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Hi. So I've been living in Spain for about 11 years, and this happened like 11 years ago. It was my first time going to the emergency room, and when stomach problems, whatever, couldn't stop throwing up. And I go in, give the girl at the front desk my ID and my debit card, and she takes my ID, checks me in, hands both cards back to me, and I was like, oh, well, maybe I give the debit card, I pay at the end. So I go in, everything, give me medicine, and I go back out, I stop at the front desk again, and I was like, hi, I'm leaving, here's my debit card. And she just looks at me and she's like, I don't know why you keep giving this to me. You don't need to give me your debit card. I don't get it. And I'm like, oh, you don't have to pay for health services, even in a private hospital.
Tell me you've been single a long time without telling.
Alright, that's the end of that one. So, yeah. So much to take from that. That's why I didn't pause a whole lot during the video, because I wanted to save my thoughts for afterwards. A lot of these, of course, have been centered around the free health care, or the better, the cheaper health care, if you will. It's. I've talked with, as I've said in other videos, I've talked with my friends in the UK, and I've known some people here that have, spent time in the UK, and it is night and day difference. It's absolutely insane. To the point where I wish we would, like, as much as I love my country, and I do, and, we have so many things that are messed up. We don't live so good up in the hill, if you can take the meaning, like some people may think about us. We definitely have our own issues. Healthcare being one of them. It's just it dang near breaks you. Um, and yeah, and the whole guns thing. I mean, what can you say? I mean, it's such. We need. Well, I don't want to get into all that, but I mean, they're dead on. With a lot of that, as far as how bad it is over here, and what what else can you say about that, right? But anyway, post your comments down below. Let me know what y'all thought. I don't know how many parts there is to this. There may be a part 3 or something of that nature, and if there is, it's coming. And if not, well, this will be the last one of that, and we'll get to some other ones, and we'll get to some other ones anyway, maybe on the next one, just to kind of mix it up. So, yeah, we'll do that. But let me know if y'all liked it. Hit the like button. Please subscribe. It would really help me out. Y'all have been so supportive. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Y'all, I can't do this without y'all. I mean, I'm nobody special. I'm just me. I'm nobody big time, and I don't expect to be. To be honest, I didn't expect to have as many subscribers as I do. But I do. And I'm very thankful. And I'm thankful that y'all have stuck with me through good videos, great videos, bad videos, and just ones that are just like, eh. So, I do appreciate it. Thank y'all very much. And until the next one, y'all, this is Johnny Wheeler, and I'm out.